Tom sat in the corner of the dimly lit bar. He was quiet, almost invisible among the Friday night crowd. A man in his early 50s with gray hair and tired eyes. He wore a simple jacket and old jeans. Nothing about him drew attention. Nothing made him stand out. He ordered a beer and sat there, looking at nothing in particular. The bar was loud. Music pounded from speakers. People laughed and shouted over drinks. Groups of young men clustered around tables, their voices growing louder with each round. Tom sat alone. He preferred it that way. After everything, solitude felt like mercy. He had come here to forget, to disappear into the noise, to be nobody. A group of 3 men in their 20s noticed him. They were drunk. Confident in that dangerous way alcohol gives to people who have never truly been tested. One of them, the loudest, pointed at Tom. The man said, "Hey, old-timer." He asked why Tom was sitting alone. He said Tom looked sad. The others laughed. Tom looked up briefly. He met the man's eyes for just a second. Then he looked away. He took a sip of his beer. He said nothing. This silence seemed to irritate the drunk man. He walked closer to Tom's table. His friends followed. The man said he was talking to Tom. He asked if Tom was deaf or just rude. Tom still said nothing. His face remained calm, almost expressionless. Inside, he felt the familiar weight, the exhaustion of having to prove nothing, of knowing what real danger looked like. This was not it. This was just noise. Empty aggression from men who had never faced anything real. The drunk man got bolder. He said Tom looked like a homeless person. He asked if Tom even had money for that beer. His friends laughed louder now. Other people in the bar started to notice. Some looked away. Some watched with mild interest. Nobody intervened. Tom took another slow sip of his beer. He placed the glass down carefully. He looked at the man. His voice was quiet when he spoke. He said he did not want any trouble. He said the man should go back to his friends. The drunk man laughed. He said trouble. He asked what an old man like Tom could do about trouble. He reached out and shoved Tom's shoulder. Not hard, just enough to provoke, just enough to humiliate. Tom did not move. He sat there, still, calm. His hands rested on the table, but something changed in his eyes. Something ancient, something that had seen things these young men could not imagine. The drunk man shoved him again, harder this time. He told Tom to stand up. He said he wanted to see what the old man was made of. Tom stood up slowly. He was not a big man, average height, lean. But there was something in the way he moved, something controlled, precise, like every motion had been calculated 1,000 times before. The drunk man grabbed Tom's jacket. He pulled. The jacket shifted. The collar pulled down slightly. And there, on Tom's neck, just below his ear, something became visible. A tattoo. Not a common tattoo. Not a name or a symbol of love or rebellion. This was different. Small, faded with time, but unmistakable to anyone who knew. A skull with wings, a dagger through it, numbers beneath, a unit designation. One of the other men in the group saw it. His face changed. The color drained. He grabbed his friend's arm. He told him to stop. He told him to let go. Now. The drunk man asked what? He asked why. The friend pointed at Tom's neck. He said that tattoo. He said he knew what it meant. His voice was shaking now. The bar had gone quieter. People were watching. The friend said it was a special forces unit. He said not just any unit. He said it was one of the most elite. He said the kind that did not officially exist. He said the kind that went into places where governments denied sending anyone. He said those numbers were from operations in the worst conflict zones. The drunk man let go of Tom's jacket. He stepped back. His bravado evaporated like smoke. Tom adjusted his jacket. He pulled the collar back up, covering the tattoo again. His face remained calm. He did not look proud. He did not look threatening. Just tired. An older man at the bar spoke up. He said he recognized that unit designation. He said he had been military. He said those men went through hell. He said they did things that kept people safe while those people slept without knowing. He said those men rarely talked about it. He said they came home different. Quiet. The bar was completely silent now, except for the background music. Everyone was looking at Tom, seeing him differently. This quiet man in the corner. This invisible person they had ignored or mocked. He was not what he seemed. Tom looked at the drunk man. His voice was still quiet. He said the man should go home. He said the man should be grateful he had never had to see real violence. He said that was a gift. He said most people did not know what they had until it was gone. The drunk man nodded. His face was red, shame replacing aggression. He mumbled an apology. He and his friends backed away. They left the bar quickly. Heads down. Tom sat back down. He picked up his beer. His hand was steady. He took a drink. He did not look around. He did not acknowledge the stares. He just sat there, as if nothing had happened. The bartender came over. He said Tom's next drink was on the house. He said thank you. He said thank you for your service. Tom nodded. He said thanks, but it was a long time ago. He said he was just trying to have a quiet beer. He said he preferred to forget. The bartender nodded and walked away. The bar slowly returned to its normal noise, but people kept glancing at Tom, seeing him with new eyes. The invisible man had become visible, not through pride or boasting, but through a simple mark on his skin, a reminder of who he had been, who perhaps he still was underneath. Tom finished his beer. He stood up. He left money on the table, more than enough to cover the drink and a generous tip. He walked toward the door, steady, unhurried, just as he had entered. As he reached the exit, the older man at the bar called out. He said that those who have seen darkness carry it differently. He said they carry it quietly. He said, that is the mark of real strength. Tom paused at the door. He turned his head slightly. He gave a small nod. Then he stepped out into the night. The door closed behind him. The noise of the bar faded. He walked down the street, alone, invisible again. Inside, people talked. They wondered. They asked questions. What had he done? Where had he been? What had he seen? But Tom was already gone. Back to his quiet life. Back to being nobody. And that is the thing about heroes, real ones. They do not announce themselves. They do not wear their deeds like badges. They do not demand recognition or respect. They simply do what needs to be done. And then they go home. They try to live normal lives. They sit in bars. They drink beer. They want to be left alone. But the past does not disappear. It is written on their skin, in their eyes, in the way they move through the world with a quietness that comes from knowing exactly what they are capable of and what they have already done. How many times do we pass these people on the street? How many times do we see them in grocery stores, at bus stops, sitting alone in corners of bars? How many times do we judge them by their appearance, by their silence, by their choice to remain unremarkable? We live in a world protected by people we never see, saved by people we never thank. We walk through our daily lives unaware of the sacrifices made so we can complain about small inconveniences. We mock the quiet. We dismiss the humble. We assume that those who do not speak have nothing important to say. But sometimes the quietest people have lived the loudest lives. Sometimes the most unremarkable-looking person in the room has done the most remarkable things. Sometimes the man sitting alone in the corner has seen more, done more, survived more than everyone else combined. Tom knew this. He had learned it over years, over operations that did not officially exist, over missions that had no names, over losses that could never be mourned publicly. He had learned that real strength does not announce itself. Real courage does not demand applause. Real sacrifice asks for nothing in return. He had come home different, quieter, carrying weight that others could not see. He chose anonymity, not from weakness, but from wisdom. He knew that the world did not need to know. His brothers who did not come home knew. That was enough. The tattoo was not pride, it was memory. It was a reminder of who he had been with, what they had done together, what they had lost together. It was meant to be hidden, covered, a private mark for a private pain. But tonight it had been revealed, and for a moment people saw. They saw past the gray hair and tired eyes, past the simple jacket and quiet demeanor. They saw a glimpse of the man beneath, the warrior, the guardian, the one who had stood between them and darkness they would never know existed. Tomorrow, Tom would wake up. He would go to his ordinary job. He would shop for groceries. He would live his simple life. And he would once again be invisible. Just another middle-aged man that people passed without noticing. But tonight, for just a few minutes, in a crowded bar, people saw. They understood. And maybe, just maybe, they would remember. They would remember that you cannot judge a person by what you see on the surface. They would remember that heroes do not always look like heroes. They would remember that strength can be quiet, that courage can be humble, that the most important stories are often the ones never told. So look around. Look at the quiet ones, the invisible ones, the people who sit alone and say nothing, who ask for nothing, who seem to want nothing but to be left in peace. Wonder about their stories. Respect their silence. Understand that maybe, just maybe, they have earned their right to be unremarkable. Because being unremarkable, after a life of the remarkable, is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is peace. It is a choice. And honor that choice. Honor them. Even if you never know their names. Even if you never hear their stories. Honor the invisible heroes who walk among us, who protect us still, not with weapons anymore, but with their continued presence, their quiet dignity, their choice to keep living, despite everything they have seen, despite everything they have lost. They deserve that much. They deserve to be left in peace. They deserve their quiet beer in the corner. And they deserve never to have to prove themselves again. Because they already did. In places you will never go. In ways you will never understand. And they carry that proof not on their chests for the world to see, but hidden, private, sacred, just like Tom.